This podcast replay is brought to you by AccidentLawFirm.com. For truck, motorcycle, and rideshare accidents, call Bobby Nunez, 305-444-4407. AccidentLawFirm.com.
Jake Rowe from 247's Sports is kind enough to join us now. He covers Georgia on a daily basis, and you can follow him on Twitter at Rowe247 as Georgia gets ready to take on Baylor, and that'll be on the 1st on Wednesday next week. Number 5, Georgia 11-2, Baylor 11-2. Let's bring Jake on. Jake, good afternoon, my man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, fellas. How are y'all?
Very good, Jake. Jake, one of the things we're doing is obviously we're in South Florida, Dolphin town, Dolphin focused here, and going into the draft, they've got 4,000 picks, as you know. And so we're kind of focusing in on all the different quarterbacks that are going to get drafted. We talked to a beat writer that covers Tua, another one that covers Joe Burrow. So we are talking with you now to talk about a little bit about Jake Fromm, another guy that's going to be going into the draft. First of all, when you look at Jake, what are the things that tell you he is going to be successful at the next level, at the higher level?
Well, I think the first thing everybody would point to is his preparation. I mean, he's a guy that when you talk about an NFL quarterback who can make all the adjustments at the line of scrimmage, can get you in the right play. You talk about the kind of guy who's going to know a defense inside and out. That's Jake Fromm. I mean, he's just a really intelligent, smart guy, wins with his head. He does a really nice job of knowing where to go with the football and getting the ball out of his hands. If you look at over the course of his 3-year career at Georgia, he doesn't get sacked much. Now, some of that's been because of good protection, but some of it's simply because he knows where to go with the football as soon as he touches. And all those things are huge, especially when you play in the NFL and everything's happening at warp speed. So I think that's a big one. He anticipates his throws real well, and I think he struggled with that a little bit this past year because he's dealing with so many young receivers. But he anticipates his throws really well. He's accurate with the football. He the past 2 years, he's been a really good deep ball guy. He connects with his deep ball shots and really throws the ball well to the sideline. I think that's probably one of his biggest attributes as a thrower is the fact that he can fit the ball in the tight windows near the sideline, keep the ball out of harm's way really well.
What were his signature moments this year? Auburn, Florida. Where would you put his signature moments as a quarterback this year?
Well, anytime you talk about Jake Fromm's signature moments, it's always going to be against Florida. He dominated them in his career. Came out and had a tremendous game against them this year. Georgia went 12 of 18 on third down against the Gators. Jake was tremendous on third down. Threw the ball really well in the middle of the field in that game, and just kind of also was really elusive in the pocket. They had a hard time when they did try to get to him of bringing him down in the pocket. I think Auburn was a pretty solid game as far as the red zone goes. I mean, he didn't.
It wasn't a stat. It wasn't a stat game, but it was a scoring game for him, right? Or that's what it was. Like,
no doubt. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. He was really efficient in the red zone. Made all the right decisions in the red zone. Georgia as an offense struggled overall, but he was 3 of 3 for games there. And I know the South Carolina game. Everybody wants to point to the 3 interceptions. It's the only time in his career that he's thrown 3 interceptions in a game. Only time in his career he's ever thrown a pick 6 in a game. But he also had a 96-yard touchdown drive in that game to tie it up for Georgia. After one of the interceptions was his fault. 2 of the others weren't. But he still found a way to engineer a 96-yard touchdown drive, throw the game-time touchdown pass, get that game to overtime. So he had a pretty good one there. And then against Tennessee on the road. In that game, he was great on third down, really accurate, no matter where he threw it on the field. And he had some struggles this year, but he also had some pretty big moments. I mean, everybody wants to talk about that down the stretch where he won several games in a row without having 50% completion percentage. Well, during that stretch, he was 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So he did find a way to impact the game in a positive way when things weren't going right.
So what do you say to people who say, well, the LSU game, 2 interceptions, didn't step up, didn't have a great game, didn't have a good completion percentage in that one, and that's the game where you wanted to see him be at his best against the best in that conference?
Well, he didn't play great in that game. I mean, that's just all there's to it. He wasn't at his best, but he had some drops. He had some big drops. First play of the game, right down the middle of the field, a guy streaking open for maybe a 40-yard gain, and the ball goes right off his hands. He had a touchdown pass drop later in that game. He also pulled the string on some throws and didn't come up with the big throw. But that was indicative, I think. And listen, like I said, I understand Jake Fromm didn't play well at points this year, and I'm not trying to make excuses for him. But at the same time, I mean, they struggled at wide receiver all year long. That Auburn game, they couldn't get separation. South Carolina game, couldn't get guys to run the right route or catch the football. I mean, there was a lot that went wrong that was beyond Jake Fromm's control. They didn't run the ball well at all the second half of the season. And that's one thing I would say to people is this. Jake Fromm is probably not going to be the quarterback that's going to put your team on his back week in and week out and win you a game. But there are only a handful of guys in the sport that can do that anyway. What Jake's going to do is if you put pieces around him, and it doesn't even have to be the right pieces. I still think there's some flexibility there. But if you put pieces around him, if you can give him a little bit of a run game, if you can give him some go-to wide receivers, I think he's going to be highly successful. I just think what you saw this year at Georgia was the fact that Georgia didn't run the football effectively. Georgia didn't have consistent play at wide receiver. The only thing they did well around Jake Fromm this year was protect the quarterback, and that's all well and good when you've got receivers who can get open and improvise, and they didn't do that.
Now, and we're talking, by the way, with Jake Rowe from 247 Sports. He covers the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, I'm going to ask a little bit of a twisted question for you, Jake. Do we focus too much on the Georgia quarterback? Because it's not like DJ Shockley wasn't a bad quarterback. He was good, and so was David Green, and so is Matt Stafford, and so is Jake Fromm. But it's kind of been the Georgia program that has had the problem of getting over that hump in those big moments in big games, whether it was under Mark Richt or now under Kirby Smart. And we almost kind of lay it all on the quarterback, and then we say, well, then David Green didn't do enough, and Matt Stafford didn't do enough, and now we say that Fromm didn't do enough. But it's kind of been an MO for the entire football program. There hasn't been those signature moments for Georgia football in a long time. They've been really good, but they haven't crossed that threshold that LSU has, that Auburn has, that Florida has, that obviously Alabama, damn it, crosses all the damn time. But you know what I'm saying? It's almost like we kind of lay it all on the quarterback, and it's kind of been a program issue.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, if you just want to talk Jake Fromm here, like you just want to go with the most recent example, look at the 2017 national championship game. Yeah, Fromm had a couple of mistakes in the game. So did Tua as a freshman. Right. Yeah. He threw a couple of interceptions.
That's right.
Well, you look at 2nd and 26. I mean, Georgia's done what it can do. It's got the lead in overtime. Shaky field goal kicker. Defense has sacked Tua for a 16-yard loss on first down. 2nd and 26, and you get a senior safety looked off by a freshman quarterback, and touchdown, game over. You look at last year's SEC championship game against Alabama. Jay Fromm is 300 yards and 3 touchdowns in that game, but Alabama has the ball for half of the fourth quarter because the backup quarterback again is in the game. And Georgia can't get off the field defensively. It goes 0-5 or 0-4 on third down on one drive. Alabama holds the ball for over 7.5 minutes. Then they score a touchdown. They score another touchdown later in the quarter to win the game. And that's just kind of how it's gone for Georgia. I mean, listen, the quarterback. There's probably been times where the quarterback can make more plays and win a game for them. But there have also been times where it's been on somebody else to make come up, make a play, and nobody has.
Right. That's my point, because it can't be one quarterback after another, because we kind of said the same thing about Matt Stafford, too, when he was coming out of Georgia. All the talent in the world, and then there weren't a lot of those signature moments, and it's like, I don't know if I think we're focusing too much on one position, where it's kind of that whole program has to kind of take that turn that Clemson has and other programs have. And Georgia just seems to kind of mess around with it and get to that threshold but never cross it. You know what I mean? And
no doubt. Yeah. But ultimately, I think it comes down to this. If you want to talk quarterbacks in Georgia, they've had some winners. They've had a lot of winners. David Green, DJ Shockley, Aaron Murray, Jake Fromm, all of those guys have been winners. That's just all there is to it. There's only one team that climbs to the top of the mountain every year. You've seen it. You've seen some great ones not win it in the NFL. You've seen some great ones not win it at the college football level. And Georgia's had some great ones that just haven't busted through for one reason or another. And, like you said, that it has been a program thing. Like I said, there have been times where the quarterback maybe could have made the play or two to get them over the hump. But there's been times where everybody else can make a play or two to get them over the hump, too. And no, it's not just all on the quarterback. And if folks kind of want to make it that way, then everybody's entitled to their opinion. But there have been a lot of different reasons, because there have been a lot of different opportunities, because there have been a lot of really good quarterbacks to play at Georgia to help get them to that point. And it's not just one thing.
And one of the things you mentioned earlier in this interview, they haven't been dominant in the running game. And there were times in the season that if you had a dominant running game, maybe things would have been a little different for Georgia. Maybe we're talking about an undefeated season. Who knows? But you haven't been spoiled with the typical Georgia running game either.
Exactly. And I'd say this. Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe it'd be okay if it wasn't dominant. Maybe it'd be okay if it was just good. Because against Florida, they couldn't run it. Against Auburn, they ran it a little better, but not great.
Right.
Couldn't run it at all against LSU. I mean, just a good running game would have been a huge boost for Georgia down the stretch.
So what do you think? Fromm's a second rounder? You think that's where he goes?
I think that's very possible. I think that he's one of those guys where it's really tough. It's going to be really elastic where he ends up with. It's because he's going to turn some teams off because he's not the super tall, super athletic guy. He's not going to have the big hands that everybody likes, and he's not going to. And I think his arm is. I think he's got a good arm, not great or not elite. So I think he's going to turn some teams off. They're going to look for reasons not to get him. But then there's probably going to be 5, 6, 7 teams, maybe more, maybe less, who they get in there with him and they sit down and they start rolling through the playbook, start rolling through film. They're going to fall in love with him, and they're going to like him more than everybody else. So I think he's going to really turn some teams on. He's going to really turn some teams off, and it really depends on which one. Because if there's a mid to late first round team that just loves the kid, maybe they take a shot at him. Or maybe there's a team that's like that, and they've got a couple guys higher and they can get him in the third. I see him as a day 2 guy with a chance to go early on day 3. Unless somebody just absolutely falls in love with him.
Jake, before I let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, the kid that left Georgia and is playing at Washington, I kind of think he's the better NFL prospect, but you tell me, you got to see a little Jacob Eason. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, he's an unlimited guy as far as a passer, and as far as physical ability. Now, he has a howitzer for an arm. He gets rid of the ball quick. He's really calm and collected. I think that's one thing that I really love about him is he doesn't get rattled. He's very, very even keel, and you like that. The one thing that worries me about him, though, and I think you see this if you flip on the tape, is he's just not deep ball accurate. He struggled as a freshman at Georgia. He struggled this past year at Washington with that. He's just not deep ball accurate. Georgia called. I got to give Jim Chaney a lot of credit for what he did in Jacob Eason's freshman year, because he dialed up layup after layup for him. And I would say he probably hit 1 out of every 4 of them, maybe 1 out of every 3. And some quarterbacks coach believe that you just can't really teach accuracy, and that's something he struggled with at Georgia. But
I'm one of those guys, by the way.
To make all the throws, he can do it.
I'm one of those guys, by the way, Jake. I don't believe you can teach accuracy. I believe you either have it or you don't. Now, the guy that is not fundamentally sound and his legs are all over the place, yeah, you can improve it if you have him stand the right way and all that good stuff. But for me at least, I'm 53, man. Normally, just quarterbacks that aren't accurate, they really never become accurate. That's just not the case. I'm one of those guys. Are you one of those guys too?
I'm not a big quarterback guy. I'm more of an offensive line guy. I've coached high school football and spent a lot of time around a lot of positions. Quarterback's not really my forte. But I will say that, correct anything mechanically and get a guy going perfect mechanically, and then maybe you can kind of figure it out. If he can't throw accurately while he's working under sound mechanics, then he probably can't do it. But ultimately, it also comes down to confidence and comfortability as well. And, maybe Jacob's not he's only been, if you're talking to Jacob Eason here, he had 1 year as a freshman, which is tough, and then he had 1 year as a starter at another program. So it's kind of an up in the air proposition for him. But I do know this: the kid can put it anywhere on the football field you want it, and that speaks for something.
Yeah, the talent in itself will probably, the people will reach for him a little bit more because you know how it is, man. They see the talent, Jake, and there are a lot of coaches that say, okay, I can mold that talent into greatness. And they get drunk over the talent. And that's the one thing that you see with Eason, that he definitely has the skills to play at the next level. There's no doubt about that.
Yep, he's got him in spades.
Follow him on Twitter at Rowe247 and catch his work at 247 Sports covering the Georgia Bulldogs. Jake, thank you for taking some time, my man. We really appreciate it.
All right, guys. Take care.
You got it. There you go, Jake Rowe, man. Good stuff. Talking a little bit about Jake Fromm.